Hello, this is Hiroshi Hayashi Hamama Japan. In this video, I would like to explain that aliens or extraterrestrial beings have been with us on this planet, and we are not alone on this Earth. This is a story about it in Japanese. 皆さんこんにちは。今日はこの地球にはですね、エイリアンがずっと、私たち人間と共にいるという証拠を皆さんにお話したいと思います。1947年、私も1947年生まれですけども、私が生まれる2ヶ月ほど前ですかね、3ヶ月ですかね、アメリカのロズウェルというところにですね、UFO が墜落いたしました。ここがロズウェルです。今でも UFO の街、今ではですね、UFO の街ということになっております。ここの墜落した UFO がですね、本物か偽物かということですけどもですね、長い間秘密だったんですけども、だんだんですね、外に情報が漏洩するようになりました。これがその当時の新聞ですね。RAF、Captured Flying Saucer。これもこの写真もリークアウトされた写真だと言われております。この写真はちょっと信憑性がかけます。しかしこのエイリアングレイはですね、写真の、雰囲気からしてですね、証言とも一致するということでですね、非常に信憑性の高いというか、本物だと見て間違いないと思います。私このグレイの指を何本あるか知りたかったんですけども、足の指は非常に分かりやすいんですけども、手の指が分かりませんね。ロズウェルに陳列してある人形によれば6本ですけども、この今の写真見ると6本かと言われてもおかしくないですね。指が長くて曲がってますから、ちょっと数えにくい1、2、3、4、5、6本まで数えられます。これはグレーの顔ですね。死体です。で、この写真もグレーだと思います。人形で作られたのも多いですけども、これも証言と一致するんですね。で、今日、なんて言いますか、元 CIA メンバーでもう今年の3月、2013年の3月に、インタビューに答えられた元 CIA メンバー、その当時の責任者のね、証言がこの後に出てきますけども、その方の証言も大変ショッキングでした。いわゆるなんて言いますか、私も老人組に入りましたけども、死ぬ間際にですね、嘘をつくということはありえませんね。ありえないということは、自分のなんて言いますか、人生観と照らし合わせてもそういうことはありえませんね。では元 CIA メンバーでエリア51号で入りし、その報告をアイゼンハワー大統領、それから
partial interview with him.
So what did this gray alien look like? Could you describe him a little bit?
This one looked a little bit oriental.
So I'm just wondering if it looked almost human, what about this didn't look human?
No, it didn't look human as far as the skin tone and basically the shape of it and the size.
How was its head size compared with a normal human, for example?
Brain was kind of a little bit bigger. And some of the nose was very, very small. And the ears were just like holes. Mouth was very small.
Now, why were they bringing you out here at all, anyway, to see an alien? What was the point?
To go back and tell the president they actually had one.
So he did not know at this point
No.
if there was an alien at S4?
No.
What did you do then at Area? Were you done, or did you have other things to do at
Yeah, so
S4?
basically we were kind of
Hello, this is a message from aliens, and this is a sort of a testimony made by Mr. H.P. Heller, former Minister of Defense Force of Canada. This is a story about it, but my translation is very poor, so excuse me if I translate them wrong.
To speak to a symposium at the University of Toronto, and I said UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. On Earth at this present time, and at least two of them probably working with the United States government. The other species that I learned about not too long ago was called the tall whites. To become spiritual beings and practice the one tenet that the world's major religions have in common, and that is the Golden Rule. Indulge me, I'd like to read 2 pages from advice from the extraterrestrials. And I think they've got a lot of good advice because they know what's going on more than we do sometimes. This is a quote from Jim Sparks, who was probably the most abducted of all the people who have been abducted. And he was taken away one night late on. He'd been abducted dozens of times before that. And he said, I found myself standing in that abandoned carnival park, clear-headed and fully conscious. There were those creatures again, and I could see that their holograms of human faces were cast over their faces to disguise their true appearance and make me feel less apprehensive. I noticed that each alien seemed to be concentrating on communicating or transmitting its thoughts to the creature to my left. They seemed to be of like mind, as though combining their consciousness into one telepathic voice. They continued, and now this is quoting the ETs. There are some things you need to understand. Yes, it's true that we have been in contact with your government and heads of power. It is also true that it is also true that agreements have been made and kept secret from your people. It is also true that in the past some of your people have lost their lives or have been badly hurt to protect this secret. Our hands had no part in this. We contacted your leaders because your planet is in grave trouble. Your leaders said the vast majority of your population wasn't ready for anything like us yet. So we made time agreements with your leaders as to when your people would be made aware of our presence. That part of the agreement has not at all been kept. It was also agreed that in the meantime, steps would be taken to correct the environmental conditions of your planet with our advice and technology. We say advice, quote unquote, because we respect the fact that this is your planet, not ours. They also broke that agreement. This is Jim now, I felt an awful wave of emotion from them, the feeling of abandonment. To feel any emotion from them at all was amazing, but this was quite overwhelming. You aren't giving up on us, are you? I asked. There was a long silent pause, and I received the transmitted feeling of tremendous loss. Well, are you? I asked. No. I felt an immediate sense of relief, straight from my own emotions. But then, the extraterrestrials again, your air, your water are contaminated. Your forests, jungles, trees, and plant life are dying. There are several breaks in your food chain. You have an overwhelming amount of nuclear and biological weapons, which include nuclear and biological contamination. Your planet is overpopulated. Warning, it is almost to the point of being too late, unless your people act. There are better ways of deriving energy and food needs without causing your planet any damage. Those in power are aware of this and have the capability of putting these methods into worldwide use. I let this digest for a moment. I definitely had the feeling that these creatures are speaking as one. Then I asked, why aren't we doing that now? Silence. I was willing to wait. I'd come a long way to be treated like this by them, to have this kind of meeting. Apparently I had earned their respect and trust. The best part was that I was getting direct, truthful answers to my questions. I decided that I would milk this rare situation to its fullest, asking as many questions as I could get away with, even personal ones. I repeated my question and they answered. Those in power view it as a military and security threat. That upset me. You mean to tell me that the people in power have the ability to save and better the planet, and they aren't doing it? Amnesty. What do you mean? Complete amnesty to those in power, governments and leaders who have been suppressing the truth, that they can't be held liable for any past wrong deeds. It is the only way these leaders can come forward with the truth. It is necessary that you do this in order to work together and survive.
And the
I think
senator's
that's
time has
wonderful
expired.
advice. If you to speak to a symposium at the University of Toronto, and I said, UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. On Earth at this present time, and at least two of them probably working with the United States government. The other species that I learned about not too long ago was called the tall whites. To become spiritual beings and practice the one tenet that the world's major religions have in common, and that is the Golden Rule. to speak to a symposium at the University of Toronto, and I said, UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. On Earth at this present time, and at least two of them probably working with the United States government. The other species that I learned about not too long ago was called the tall whites. To become spiritual beings and practice the one tenet that the world's major religions have in common, and that is the Golden Rule.